Hi, general psychology students. So the purpose of this short video is to go through the instructions for the writing assignment video. This writing assignment is one of my most favorite assignments in all of my classes because it gives you the opportunity not only to write in APA style, but to learn, become like a mini expert in one mental health issue, and then to critically analyze, critically examine one media source that gives you information about a mental health issue and see to the extent, or you'll determine the extent to which that media accurately portrayed that mental health issue. I think it is a great assignment for students to see how much misinformation is perpetuated through the media, but also how much good information is out there. I know you're just going to pick one media clip and you're going to pick one mental health issue, but when you talk to other people in your class, and you get an idea of what they chose, you'll learn how much good information and bad information is out there. Okay, let me share the screen and I'm going to start talking about the actual assignment. So this is in your Blackboard course shell. If you're seeing this video, then I know you know where this writing assignment is. So for this writing assignment, you're going to find a movie or a television show that depicts a person with a mental health issue. And you'll then research the disorder and you're going to write a 500 to 1,000 word APA style paper describing the scenes portrayed by the person with the mental health issue. And you're going to determine if the portrayal is accurate or inaccurate. So here are the actual steps that you're going to take. There's 4 steps here. So first, you're going to, in the introduction section, really describe the media example that you selected. Remember, it's likely that I, the reader, the grader, will not have not have seen the movie or the TV show or the comic strip that you're referring to. So you need to give me enough detail that I really get a sense of what this character did. So explain the show, movie with enough detail so the intended reader, me, can understand it even if they've not seen it. If you choose a television show, make sure you describe just the single episode that the person is in. You don't need to go through the entire series or do more than one. I think it'll take too long. So second, you're going to provide 3 pieces of evidence from the media source that portrays the symptoms or the behaviors of the character. And for each source, you're going to explain the scene that lets you know that character portrays this particular behavior. And it needs to be done in enough detail where someone who hasn't seen it can understand it. And then you're going to talk about the extent to which that characteristics, that portrayal is accurate or inaccurate according to the DSM-5 and some of the other research that you've done on the disorder. Be detailed. You want me to know exactly why the character does, why you think the character, why this is a good portrayal or a bad portrayal of this mental health issue. Third, you're going to include a reference page with at least 3 references. I assume many of you will use the textbook as one. I think many of you will use the DSM-5 as another. So because probably a lot of you don't have the DSM-5, in the information supplementary videos, if you go to that link, there's that folder in the Unit 2 materials, you will see that I have a link to a free copy of the DSM-5. So, and let me give you an example of how you could use this. So I'm going to stop the share and start another one. Let me show you how this could work. So I have the DSM-5 for hoarding behavior called up right now. So let me share it with you. Okay, so this is the DSM-5 for hoarding disorder. And as you can see, it says the diagnostic criteria. That's what you're going to focus on. It says for the hoarding disorder, the diagnostic criteria are persistent difficulty discarding or parting with possessions, regardless of their actual value,
This difficulty is due to a perceived need to save the items and to distress associated. Oh, and there's distress associated with discarding them. C, the difficulty discarding possessions results in accumulation of possessions that congest or clutter active living areas. It's not just in a closet that no one goes into, and it substantially compromises their intended use. If living areas are uncluttered, it is only because of the interventions of third parties like family members, cleaners, authorities that come in. D, or 4, the hoarding causes clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. The hoarding is not attributable to another medical condition, and the hoarding is not better explained by the symptoms of another mental health issue. So these are the diagnostic criteria. So if you are going to use a movie or a clip, a TV show that has a character with a hoarding disorder, then you're going to discuss these diagnostic criteria. And then you'll be talking about, oh, in this one episode, it shows how she decides not to invite coworkers to her home for a social party because basically she's embarrassed by how much hoarding behavior is going on. So you could see how that would be an accurate portrayal because it's showing how the hoarding is causing significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. So it's affecting her social and her, in this case, her job, her occupational functioning. She's not allowed to have people come to her house, not allowed, but she's not going to have people come to her house because she's embarrassed by how much it's gotten out of control. So can you see how you're going to use the diagnostic criteria? And you can get these from the DSM-5, you can get them from your textbook, you'll do some other, you'll look into some other resources to find them. And then you're going to talk about how the TV show or the movie or the comic strip accurately or inaccurately portrays someone with this disorder. Now you can see from doing this that it's not a good idea. Well, not only not a good idea, you should not do this. Do not choose a documentary. So when you're doing a movie, don't choose a documentary. If you choose a documentary, then it's not going to allow you to talk about the characters. So these have to be fictional characters, okay? So you're going to talk about 3 pieces of evidence. In my opinion, when I've seen students do this in the past, they have an easier time if they choose a different characteristic of the diagnoses. So you could do one, like if it were hoarding, you could do one showing about how it's impairing their social and occupational functioning. You could do one on how a scene that shows how they can't seem to get rid of a particular piece of something because it has even though it has no value. So it's good if you can line them up with the diagnoses. I think you'll have an easier time if you find like a piece of evidence for this part of the diagnoses, a piece of evidence for this part of the diagnoses. For most of the diagnoses, people only have to have a certain number of them in order to get the diagnoses. So it's very rare that if there are like 7 diagnostic criteria listed, that you have to have all 7. Oftentimes it's like you need to have 4 of these within, and they have to last for more than 2 weeks. And we'll say that then the person has the disorder. So, okay, I think you have all the information you need now. The 4th one just says to properly format and present your ideas in APA style, and that the paper's at least 500 words. If you go over 1,000, that's okay, but I think most people are able to give all the information that they need in 1,000 words. It's going to be really hard. I haven't seen anyone do it yet in less than 500 words. So make sure you meet that 500 word mark and then go from there. When you're finding your 3rd source, so you're probably going to use the textbook, you're probably going to use the DSM-5 that I've given you access to. When you go to find any other sources you use, there's information here on how do I know if a source is credible. Please use this information. It's really important that you not just willy-nilly get on the internet. There's a lot of misinformation on there too. Okay, although it's totally fine for you to discuss and talk about the assignment with your classmates, the bulk of the work needs to be done on your own. And it's very, very important that you not plagiarize. So if you have any questions about plagiarism, there's a link in the syllabus about what plagiarism is. If you are going to, if you are going to use the word of the DSM-5, for example, word for word, make sure that you use quotation marks around it and cite it. APA, I believe it's 2018, and then the page number that you got it from. So, all right, if you have any questions, just email me, marydz@cameron.edu. Enjoy the assignment. It really is a great one.